Hello, my name's Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books, and today I've got my monthly wrap-up. I've read a lot of books this month, so I'm just going to crack on. The first book is Tracy Borman's biography of Thomas Cromwell. This is an absolutely wonderful, rich look at his life through the less documented beginnings of his life up through till his final days. It's absolutely wonderful biography, really rich, you really get a sense of the person, and unlike many Thomas Cromwell ones, they don't try and portray him either as too misunderstood or totally evil. It's a nice portrayal of a complex, interesting man who was very much part of his times. Tracy Borman's writing style is wonderful, and I will certainly be checking out more of her books because she's written on things such as Elizabeth's Women, Sorcery and Witchcraft, and Matilda. So I highly recommend this, and you will probably be seeing it at the end of the year because I think it's going to be up there on my best books of the year. This next one is Amy Elizabeth Smith's All Road Leads to Austin. I won't talk too much because I've got a full review video on this which I'll leave down below, but this is how she took Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility and Emma around South America, 6 countries, and talked to people about it to see whether or not the love of Jane Austen and the obsession that you can get through the Janeites actually translates in when you read it in Spanish. So it was quite interesting but far too fluffy to be really, really great. And then the next one I've also done a full review of, so again I'll link that down below, and this is Agatha Christie's autobiography. This is an absolutely beautiful book. Her writing is fascinating, it's really gripping and easy to read, and I did not want to put this book down at all. Her voice is so wonderful. If you like her writing, I really, really would check this out, and if you're interested at all, do check out my video where I talk a bit more about it. The next 2 books that I read are Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops and More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops by Campbell. These are really, really gorgeous little books. They'll make you want to cry, pull your hair out and laugh. It's just devastating what some people do or think in bookshops. Although one of them made me think of my husband because there's wonderful little bit, this little boy that says, "Look, Peter Rabbit," and his dad says, "Rabbits belong in pies, son, not in books." That'll be my husband when we have kids, definitely, but these are absolutely wonderful. Brilliant present for any book lover, and they will certainly be making sure that they're in a public part of my house for people to flick through because they're absolutely brilliant. The next book, again, I'm a bit obsessed with Tudor history at the moment, or totally obsessed I think is probably the best word, and so the next book was Alison Weir's The 6 Wives of Henry VII. Henry VII? What am I on about? Henry VIII? Yeah, really obsessed with history. Oh well. Put my teeth back in. This book is absolutely stunning. It's a really, really rich look at all 6 of the wives, and I've never read anything that has talked about all of them in detail. I've only ever read individual ones before, and it's quite a long book. I think it's 612 pages or so of actual text, and it is so rich and wonderful. There have been more modern developments. I think this was published in the early 90s, but it is still probably one of the best overall comprehensive looks at his wives, and it is beautifully written, very, very engrossing. I think I flew through this in probably about 4 days, and it was just really, really one of the best books on the Tudors that I've read. I will be picking up a lot more on Anne of Cleves because I didn't realise she was that interesting, and I will certainly be looking for more on Catherine of Aragon. So if you have any good book recommendations on either of those or Catherine Parr, not Anne Boleyn, I can't be doing with Anne Boleyn, then please do leave them down below. But yes, I highly recommend this if you're at all interested in history. And the next one is a book that I will have a full review coming out of, probably in the next 3 or 4 days, so I won't go into too much detail, and that is The Pleasure of Reading, edited by Antonia Fraser. This is 40 different authors with short essays on their love of writing, their love of reading, how they got into books when they were younger, how their reading developed over the years, and what they read now. And a lot of them have got their list of their 10 favourite books, which I thought was really interesting. My TBR certainly got a lot longer. And it's full of different illustrations throughout because there's 40 different illustrators to go with the 40 different authors. But yes, I would recommend it, but again, my full review, once it's out, I will link down below. And then the next book was Lauren Slater's Opening Skinner's Box, and this is a look at some of the most important and influential psychological studies in the 20th century. And this is one of the worst books I've ever read. I say read, I got to about 2/3 of the way through and threw the book across the room. She was meant to be a scientist, but her attitude is not at all scientific. It's very narrative form, which she says in the beginning she's going to set out to do. So while I found that annoying, I got on with it. But then the unscientific opinions, and finally she gave credence to religious statues crying oil, and I just couldn't cope with it anymore. If this sounds interesting, then I highly recommend, if you're in the UK, going onto the iPlayer radio site and listening to a radio programme called Changing Mindsets, which actually has 20-minute, half-hour programmes on a lot of the experiments that are mentioned in this book. The experiments interesting, the book dreadful, so find something else if you're interested, and that put me into an enormous reading slump. And I just really couldn't face anything particularly up until the point that I picked up Gail Carriger's Soulless. This is probably about a 7th or 8th reread for me. I absolutely love this series, and it's a steampunk novel set in the Victorian era with werewolves and vampires, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So I read that, and then I read the second one, Changeless, and I probably will next month read the rest of them because I think they're wonderful, and that got me a bit more enthused about reading. However, that's now all of the non-fiction books that I've read this month. I read 6 other fiction books which I won't mention in this video because I did a video earlier in the month on the books that I read while I was sick, so I'll link that down below if you're interested. But there's 3 more non-fiction books that I read this month. The first one is Death in the Cotswolds by Rebecca Tope. This is the 3rd in the Cotswolds mysteries series. They're really fun little cosy mysteries. I really like the character, and her writing and the scenery of the Cotswolds is absolutely beautiful. Nothing overly extraordinary, but a really, really nice series, and I've got 5 of them, so I'll definitely be reading the next 2, and then I'll probably continue picking up the rest in the series. Then we have Ngaio Marsh's A Man Lay Dead. Ngaio Marsh was one of the Queens of Mystery, along with Marjorie Allingham, Agatha Christie and Dorothy L. Sayers, and this is the first in her Inspector Allen series, and it's wonderful. Her writing is really, really great. It's a typical whodunit, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you like Agatha Christie, check out this author. She's got quite a nice long series. I've got the first 5 just up there, and I will definitely be working my way through those over the next couple of months. And then the last book I read was Excellent Women by Barbara Pym. I think probably it was Lil's Vintage channel that I got this from. It sounded really great. It was really great. It's a really wonderful small-scale story about a couple of women and a husband who there's not all that much happening, but the emotion is so beautiful, and it was just thoroughly, thoroughly absorbing. I will be checking out Barbara Pym's work in the future because this was a really, really sweet book. I really like character-driven stories, and this was a wonderful example of not an enormous plot, but beautiful characterisation. So those are the books that I read this month. If you have any questions about them, do leave me a comment down below, and hopefully I'll see you in a video soon. Bye!